All right, welcome. Today we're diving into a really unique way of thinking, one that goes back, well, thousands of years. We're going to uncover how a mindset that was born out of this incredible period of peace offers a fascinating and, a surprisingly relevant perspective on some of the biggest challenges we're all facing in the modern world.
Okay, so let's jump right in with a phrase that, let's be honest, we all know. You're fired. It perfectly captures a certain kind of work culture, right? It was made super famous on reality TV by people like Donald Trump, and it really represents this very specific, very individual-focused way of looking at work.
And this phrase, it's the cold, hard reality of what's known as job-based employment, which is pretty much the standard in places like the United States. In this kind of system, people are basically just slots to be filled. You get hired for one specific role, and you can be let go the second that role isn't needed anymore. I mean, we saw this happen on a huge scale during the Lehman shock, where thousands of people were just gone, overnight.
But what if there's another way to do things? This slide, I think, lays it out perfectly. On the left, you've got that job-based system where people serve the job. But on the right, you see Japan's membership-based employment, which completely flips the script. In this model, the company doesn't just hire you for a job, they hire you, the person. You become a member, and they invest in you for the long haul, finding the right work for your potential.
So, and this is the really crucial point, in the Japanese model, the human resources department is absolutely central. It's not just about filling roles or letting people go. Its main job is to actually grow people, to develop an employee's different skills for the good of the entire company. It's all about nurturing potential, not just plugging a hole.
Now, what's so fascinating is when you start to ask, well, where did this totally different approach come from? Because it's not just some modern business fad. The author of our source material makes this incredible argument that this whole nurturing mindset is deeply, deeply connected to the very structure of the Japanese language itself, a language that, interestingly enough, often works just fine without a strong, assertive I at the center of every sentence.
To really get this connection, we have to go back in time. And I mean, way back. The roots of this way of thinking stretch back over 10,000 years to a period in Japanese history called the Jomon period.
Yeah, look at that number. It's pretty staggering. It represents how long the Jomon period lasted. And what's so wild about it? Well, all the archaeological evidence points to it being a time of sustained peace. There are no signs of big, large-scale wars. For 10,000 years. Think about that. That's almost unheard of in the entire story of humanity.
So the argument here is that this incredibly long era of peace wasn't just some historical fun fact. No, it actually forged a kind of cultural Jomon DNA that got deeply embedded into the fabric of Japanese society, and, most importantly, into the way the language itself evolved. And this ancient DNA gives rise to these really cool concepts that don't have a simple one-word translation in English. Take Sakan, for example. It's often translated as society, but it's so much more personal than that. It's the community of people you actually know, your world, where your identity is defined not just by who you are, but by how you relate to everyone else in it.
And inside this Sakan, something called a yorisoi kino starts to form. You can think of it as a kind of caring function or a built-in support system. It's the collective compassion, the sense of looking out for each other that just naturally grows in a close community. And that's what gives people the feeling of security they need to really grow and reach their full potential.
Okay, so this way of thinking isn't just a neat piece of history or a unique business practice in Japan. The core idea that we're exploring here is that it might just have some powerful lessons for the entire world, especially right now. There's even a word for the effect this can have on outsiders. It's called tatamis. It's actually a French term, and it literally means to be tatameized. It describes this phenomenon where learning the Japanese language can actually start to soften a person's personality, pulling them away from that constant Western-style need to assert I all the time.
And this quote just captures that feeling perfectly. The source tells this story about a French person who was learning Japanese. And at first, they felt really weird not always starting sentences with I. But after a while, they described the feeling of just existing as part of the group as being comfortably fuzzy. What a great way to put it. It's this pleasant sense of just belonging. And this all leads to a profoundly different way of looking at happiness. It's not just about your individual wins or your personal success. It's about finding real joy in the happiness of the community, of the people around you. There's even a concept for this called sekanami, which is all about being in harmony with your community.
So here's the really big claim the author makes, that all human language, at its very core, is built on a trust in the goodwill of other people. Right? We speak because we trust someone will listen with good intentions. And the argument is that because of its unique history, shaped by thousands of years of peace, the Japanese language has held on to that original, foundational principle better than almost any other language.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, in a world that feels more and more divided, more focused on the self, this ancient way of thinking, one that was born from peace and preserved inside a language, might just offer us a different path forward.
And that really leaves us with a final, pretty provocative question. In our modern societies, which are so often fractured, where a me-first attitude seems to win the day, is it possible for us to find a way to get back that fundamental trust in the goodwill of others? That's a question we're thinking about.